Blessed is this life, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, oh, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. I welcome the sun, the clouds and rain, the wind that sweeps in the sky clean and lets the sun shine again. This is the most magnificent life has ever been. Here is heaven and earth and the brilliant sky in between. Blessed is this life, oh, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, oh, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. I dwell in the darkness, I let in the light. I sleep in the afternoon and become the noise in the night. I trespass in temptation, suffer in sacrifice, but I awake each day to the new sunrise. Blessed is this life, oh, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Blessed is this life, oh, and I'm gonna celebrate being alive. Welcome to Devotions in Motion. And this is actually for tomorrow, September 30th, but our friends in the Pacific area of the world, in Australia and New Zealand and Japan, it's already tomorrow, so happy September 30th. And the theme for today is triggers. I first wanted to give a word about this opening song. I tried to post it early on, and Facebook doesn't like me posting songs, but I did put it in, I've made a closed Facebook group if you want to join that. I've put a link to the Spotify where you can find Brett Dennen, and the book is, or the song is just called Blessed, Brett Dennen. And I have a link there if you want to have a link to that music. And I'll just try to sing it. Seems like Facebook doesn't mind my mediocre singing, so that's good. So triggers. I'm going to start by reading On This Bright Day again for September 30th. Triggers. Suffering does not diminish in intensity when you make it unconscious. Eckhart Tolle. Triggers are environmental cues that remind us of past experiences, both positive and negative. The addictive brain is highly susceptible to the cues that predict food rewards, so they are going to be potent for us, especially when we first begin recovery. We need to be prepared for them and have a plan for what to do if a situation triggers a craving for NMF, that's not my food, or NMD, not my drink. Something simple like pause, breathe, and call someone can be enough. But notice that each time we experience being triggered and then do something different than we used to do, we are literally rewiring our brain. We are creating our new life. We are participating in the creation of new life. Food cues are all around us, and we have the opportunity today to do something differently and rejoice that we are creating a brain that's going to support us long into the future to have the life that we really want to have. So triggers. So a couple more thoughts I've had about triggers. And Susan's been so great in explaining the science of this in our brains, right? And when the triggers, she says triggers here can be positive or negative, but for the negative ones, they're often triggers that are sending a spike of cortisol, fear, anxiety, or anger, right? This really strong, heavy rush. And somebody commenting on that trigger in another group I'm part of said, described it as being so emotionally charged that they can't even think. And I've heard it takes a good 20 minutes or so to calm down, to let all of that drain out of us before we can to make a move that we want to make. So this cortisol, right? And then what our brains are set up to do, because the fear is part of being a creature with animals that might want to eat us, right? That our lives are in danger. And so we either want to run away, we have some kind of aversion, we run away, find some safety, like the safety of a parent, or some comfort. And when it comes to eating, we end up finding our comfort in food sometimes. Or we want to fight, right? The anger gets really big and we fight, and we have an enemy, and we're going to go get them, and we're going to talk bad about them to our friends, right? So the anger or the aversion is what are the responses that naturally come to the cortisol. Or we freeze, right? And just like hide. And in any of those cases, we can end up going into the addictive behaviors. And this is how we're wired to be coping with danger this way. But the thing is that today in our modern lives, many of our triggers are not at all life-threatening. It's something that's reminding us of something in our past that we thought as a little child was super scary or super threatening in some way. And so we have a habit. We've had this repeated habit of reacting this way to certain things that trigger us. And so they believe that, our brains believe that it's really dangerous. But if we stop to think about it, if you can separate yourself off, let the 20 minutes pass, you can realize, well, it isn't life-threatening. And there's 10,000 other ways to get our needs met than this one thing. So what do we do about that? What do we do about triggers? About a few months before I started Bright Line Eating, I found a different support group and teacher who was helping me deal with conflict. And I'm a pastor, and churches always have conflict, and I hadn't had anybody mentor me through a conflict to get to a good place at the other side. And so this time, when the conflict arose, I went searching, and I found something called nonviolent communication. And what's so brilliant is Susan, whether she studied it or not, she's using a lot of the same principles in the way she does Bright Line Eating. We have a lot of those there, and they go together really well. So nonviolent communication, NVC, and so I've been in that practice group and had weekly lessons and kind of a repeated way of learning to think in this and act in a different way, different behaviors. And I'm in a group there, and something that goes along with triggers came up in that Facebook group where somebody talked about being in an emotionally charged situation when they can't even think, and what do I do? How do I remember not to just do the automatic fight or flight or freeze? What else can I do? And so the acronym is STOP, S-T-O-P. So first, just stop what you're doing, stop what you're saying. You can go into another room. And Susan talks about going into the bathroom, right? Texting a friend, right? Just stop. Remove yourself from the stressful situation. Take a breath, right? And devotions and motion is part of that taking a breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. We'll do that in a moment. So the S is stop, T is take a breath, O, observe. And what we're observing here, once we recognize that we're not really in danger, right? And if you're really in danger, if a tiger's about to eat you or you're about to get run over by a bus, then run away or freeze or do whatever you can to protect yourself. But if it's really not danger and you've stopped and you breathe, now observe. What's really happening here? Observe how you are feeling and observe where it shows up in your body. Everett teaches us to find the place in our body that when we're triggered, that it might lodge. It might be in our belly, it might be a headache, right? We might get hot. So what am I feeling and what are my emotions? And nonviolent communication teaches us to recognize specific emotions. It's very helpful to have those categories, I've found. And then, what do I need? And then, when you're able to know what you actually need, because usually when you're in that triggered sense, like with another person, you're like, he shouldn't have done that, or she should have done that, right? And the should, and Susan talks all the time, don't should all over you, other people or yourself, but the should underneath that is an unmet need. So if you catch yourself shoulding, then ask yourself, what's the unmet need? What do I need right now that I don't have? that's causing me to have this cortisol rush, right? What do I need, right? And you might have to ponder that a little bit, right? And take some time, journal. And then, what would my favorite version of myself do next, right? What would my highest self do next to help myself get what I need without going off the handle, without doing harm to anybody else? And so the trick here is a belief in abundance. And in nonviolent communication, we're taught that there's 10,000 ways to get a need met. And so if the person that I'm having a conflict with, or someone who's triggered me, isn't giving me what I need, okay, but I don't have to try to make them give me what I need, because there's 9,999 other ways to get what I need. And so I can go find another way that I can do without forcing somebody else. So that trust, and the trust in the abundance in this great big world, this universe, is a really important practice and mindset. And I like to wear this symbol. It's a tree of life, and it symbolizes, it's a tree that has a fruit that's ripe every month of the year, 12 different fruits, one for each month. So there's always food, there's always enough. So that reminds me about the abundance. So you stop what you're doing, take a breath, then observe what's happening, how am I feeling, what do I need, right? And then what might I do next? And then P, the P of stop is proceed. And you're going to take a congruent action that aligns with fulfilling your needs. So there's a little thing that might help you with triggers to stop. So let's do the T of taking a breath in Devotions in Motion, which I like to do a breath prayer that's just breathing in what I need and then breathing it out. And as I breathe out, I'm imagining it going out in front of me to any people in my circle and then out into the world beyond. So first we're going to breathe in love deeply and breathe out love. Breathe in light or understanding and breathe out light, clarity of vision. Breathe in life and breathe out life. And do it again. Breathe in love and breathe out love. Breathe in light and breathe out light. Breathe in life. Breathe out life. In God we live and move and have our being. So I'm trying to make these devotions in motion for people who identify as spiritual but not religious. And I'm aware that just now I used the word God, and that might be a trigger word for some people. Depending on what they believe or were taught to believe about God, that could be a very scary figure, a judging figure, a punishing figure, linked to trauma in the past. And so I took a little risk there to use that word because I oftentimes try to figure out a different way of saying it without trigger words. In this case, I'm taking a little risk, and I hope if that triggered you, that you can stop, take a breath, observe how you're feeling about the word God, and then proceed. If you need to stop listening today, that's fine. And if you can just kind of change your mindset and say, well, Sarah's talking about God, but I don't believe in God, and that's okay, I'm still welcome. You are still welcome. You don't have to believe in God for me to say the name God. Then do as you wish. And I'm going to proceed now using a beloved psalm from the Bible, from the Hebrew Bible. It's Psalm 23, and I think it's just perfect. I have 3 devotions in motion that come out of this. And if you will pause and have some curiosity, I'll explain a little bit along the way, and I hope it doesn't trigger you, and I hope it gives you some permission to play with it, even if you don't believe in it, right? Just see it as a poem like Rumi's poem, right? Somebody wrote this psalm, and this person was using their imagination and imagining God. And in Hebrew, the name that is spoken of God's name is Adonai. Now, one trigger word that some people have is Lord. And I think, especially when in Latin that's domine, which is dominance, right? And lording it over people. And the lords who will not treat their serfs right, or their servants right, that can be a problem, right? So I have a circle of friends who have, Christian friends, who've decided to use Adonai when we pray the Psalms instead of Lord, for that very reason, that it's a trigger word. So I'm going to sometimes use Adonai instead of Lord as we're going through the 23rd Psalm. So Adonai, I'll just say the Psalm first. And think of this person imagining, being playful, imagining that Adonai is a shepherd. Now, a lot of us in modern culture don't have sheep. We haven't had experience with shepherds. I actually got, in my college, we had sheep, and I got to help birth a lamb one spring, which was fun. But, but shepherds take care of their sheep. And the sheep know the shepherd's voice and follow the shepherd. And sheep aren't always that smart, and sometimes they get off into a place and their fur gets stuck into the brambles and they can't find their way back, or they get close to a cliff. And so the shepherd is there with the crook to kind of pull them back, to guide them, to make sure they come back into the sheepfold at night so they can stay safe from the wild animals. So the shepherd is this sense of protection from things that are scary, right? And if we imagine ourselves as the ones who can be scared or being in danger, that's what this psalm is inviting us to imagine, right? So Adonai is our shepherd. We shall not want, right? There's 10,000 ways to meet any need. Adonai leads me to green pastures. So think of the sheep and a big field of grassy, good, yummy grass, right? Where they can safely graze, right? There's classical music, sheep may safely graze, right? So you have all the good, bright food you need, green pastures, and leads me beside the still waters, right? A beautiful, clear lake, a place where you can drink the drink that's good for us, the pure water that our bodies need. And then another trigger for God is He, right? And again, because of the way he's and she's have had a domination problem. So I'm going to say he here just because that's how I've got it memorized. But later on, we're going to swap in she. And you can be playful with that. You don't have to be stuck. If something triggers you, you can shift it a bit. Right? So Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me through the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Now, don't worry about religious words like righteousness. It just means, well, that's what I was doing yesterday, upright, right? Straight. We're not hiding. We don't have to pretend, hide from ourselves because something's bad. We're going upright, righteousness. Paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Then, here's where the trigger is. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, right? Even though scary things are going to trigger me, I will fear no evil. For you, right? It changes from talking about God, third person, or the shepherd, to God being someone I'm speaking to. You are with me. And your rod, that's going to help protect me from wild beasts, and the staff that's got the crook on it is going to pull me out of the weeds or away from the brink of a cliff. A rod and thy staff, they comfort me. That's why they comfort me, because they're protecting me. You anoint my head with oil. My cup flows over. Let's see. I missed a part there. Let's see. Lead me beside the waters. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, you comfort me. Oh, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This is a table with no NMF and no NMD, right? In the presence of my enemies. My cup runneth over. I have more than I need. Let's see. Sorry, I can do this all at once, but stopping to explain it gets it confusing. Bear with me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My cup runneth over. The last part is, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, or the house of Adonai. All right, so here's the devotion in motion, and I invite you to be playful with this. So the first one is just singing the first part of that, and there's some dance step, and it's kind of a slow one. I've usually done it to piano music. I'm not going to try to play that right now, but we'll sing it. But it's the motions. You're going to step with your feet, and so I'm going to show you with my hands. So it's going to be step, 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 rock back, and then you're going to go to the next foot, step, 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 rock back. Now, if I was in a group, if we were in a circle, we could hold hands as we're doing this dance, and that would help us keep our balance. I'm going to try to do this in this venue. It's not going to look as great, but we'll see. So it just goes like this. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, rock back. He leads me beside the still waters, rock back. He restoreth my soul with his love. So it's just the first part, and you can just repeat it. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, rock back. He leads me beside the still waters, rock back. He restoreth my soul with his love, rock back. Now, if you have a friend, a buddy, just somebody you've heard about who's going through a hard time, you can use this as a way to pray for that person with your whole body, right? So, I'm not even sure I guess I'll just have the average Joe I'll put in there. So, for example, you could just put their name in instead of I or my. So the Lord is Joe's shepherd, he shall not want. He makes him lie down in green pastures, rock back. He leads him beside the still waters, rock back. He restoreth his soul with his love, rock back. Okay, so that's the first one. I'll see about the recorded. I do have recorded music for that. But all right, the next one is a little bit further down, talking about not being afraid. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. So this one is playful, and you have to use even more imagination since we're doing it Facebook Live. But imagine you have a nice group of people, and they're going to form two lines, and they're going to be the valley. And they're going to be the valley of the shadow of death. So their job is to, standing on the line on either side, is to be as scary as they can be, like stick out their tongue, like me being in a haunted house, right? Try to scare someone. And then one person at the end of the line at a time is going to walk down the center to this song. So if we were all together, we would sing the song even as we're making a scary face. And the person walking down is going to walk very bravely. And I'm going to sing the song for you. We're going to march. So it's a march, 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 march. I will not be afraid. I will not be afraid. I will look upward and travel onward and not be afraid. Adonai says he will go with me. Adonai says he will go with me. He goes before me and is beside me, so I'm not afraid. Switch it up if you want to think of God as feminine or think about Mother Earth. Her arms are underneath me. Her arms are underneath me. Her hand upholds me, her love enfolds me, so I'm not afraid. So we go singing onward because we're unstoppable. So we go singing onward, we're pressing upward, we're marching homeward, and we're not afraid. Fun. If you can imagine it, if you could learn the song and you could sing it with your friends, it would be so much more fun, right? But the third part of the 23rd Psalm, the very end, there's another fun song. And this one you would do with a group of 4 people. So one person is going to be Shirley. One person is going to be Goodness. One person is going to be Mercy. And then there's me, right? So Shirley, Goodness, and Mercy are going to follow me. And we're going to play Follow the Leader. And whatever the leader does, Shirley, Goodness, and Mercy are going to do, dancing around, right? And the song goes like this. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And you just play with it. And then there's another part. Let's see. Then 2 people make a house, and the me sits on inside. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And the third person becomes a table on their hands and knees. I mean, this is an active one if you can move around it. Someone gets on their hands and knees to be like a table. And I shall feast at the table set for me. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And with this one, you would then take turns. Somebody else gets to be me, someone else is Shirley, Goodness, and Mercy. You just keep rotating through till everybody's had a chance to be me. And it's just playful. And it gets the song into your head, because this music is another way, these words, whether it's the psalm or just snippets of it in a song or the song about blessed, all of that can help us in that take a breath part, right? That pause, that recognizing that there's abundance to meet our need, that we're not in grave danger most of the time that we get triggered. And once we make that pause, then we can make the choice to proceed in a way that our highest self really wants to proceed. So I hope that's helpful for you on the theme of triggers. And I think I'll be able to do one tomorrow for the theme. Tomorrow is trust. So I have some ideas. I just have to figure out, I think I have to do it pretty darn early, like maybe 6:30, we'll see. Yeah, so I hope this blessed you. Oh, that will be on Sunday. This one is for tomorrow, which is today in part of the world. All confused. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and I hope this blessed you. It's been blessing me to be making these, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.